Hey students, so this is the second video of this semester. I'm just working on the first two assignments. So this is gonna be the lesson for the second assignment. And where do you go? This is gonna be the lesson for the second assignment. And the first assignment you were supposed to have done on your own. It's really not that difficult. It's just digits, adding, subtracting digits, integers. It's really nothing that that you need a lesson for. The reason it's so simple is because you were supposed to use that to play around with Pearson. Remember I told you? So yeah, let me go to Pearson out here real quick. Yeah, because once you get an account with Pearson, this is what it's going to look like. And then you were supposed to go into the first assignment and just play around with it. Okay. So oh, and by the way, if I haven't told you before, I'm gonna give you 100 for that assignment number 1. So don't worry about making 100 if you don't have to. If you can't. But most of you, most of the ones who have already worked this assignment have made hundreds. So yeah, I'm not worried about that assignment. I'm not worried about you doing a poor grade on this assignment. Go ahead and work on that assignment on your own. I'm not going to give you a lesson for that. So I'm going to be working on this assignment, well, the lesson for this assignment. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. And now that I'm here, if you're working on your own, if you don't want to follow us, because this is an online class, go ahead and do that. It's fine. And if you're doing that, make sure that you go to Multimedia Library, which is to the left here, and this is where you find your well, let me go ahead and click on it. This is where you find your ebook. Okay, I already told you that on the previous video, but just so you're aware that this is where you find your ebook. Okay, and then just click on the chapter and section, switch from the section there, and then choose either multimedia textbook or video or both even, and that should teach you how to work out most of the problems, or all of them. Yeah, most of the problems, but I have it to where the assignment to where every question is workable by just showing a few examples, working out a few examples from the textbook, which is about what I'm about to do in this lesson. And I'll show you that lesson in a few seconds. But first, okay, so there's that, and then you can work on your own. And let me know if I need to assign you more assignments here, if you're working at a faster pace than us. But if not, just look at the due dates, and right here, due dates, and keep up with those, and you should be okay. All right. Oh, another thing is that when I'm working like through WebEx or making videos like this, I'm not. I'm talking to myself here. I'm talking to a wall, to the laptop, and the lessons don't flow as well because I don't have feedback. See, I can't see you. I can't see your faces. I can't. So I don't have any feedback at all. I'm just talking to myself and working at my own pace. Yeah, and sometimes I go fast. I find myself going fast, and I need to slow down, and sometimes I'm not going too fast, and I need to speed up. So that's well, I wouldn't say a problem, but it feels, the videos feel very mechanical. See what I'm saying? They don't flow as much as if I would as if they would know if I was teaching a lesson in a classroom. Okay. All right. Let me move on to Moodle, and remind you that most of the stuff is gonna be found under Getting Started here. So I'm clicking on it, and then here what I need you to do is scroll down to the bottom here, and then of course read your syllabus, weekly schedule, previous instructions, and then sign. So way over here, syllabus agreement. Sign that, and post a comment on this class, okay? Because you need to post a comment to so I can count you as a show for this class. And let me see what else. Okay, so yeah, some of you were asking me about the instructions on Pearson because you wanted to do it on your own. Well, you don't have to. Just come in here, go into Moodle and click on Pearson instructions, and then this would show up in different window. And so just read through this. You should be able to get an account with Pearson just by reading through this right here. This part right here, from 1 to 8, instructions from 1 to 8. And then if you want a temporary account, just go down here to this step here. Okay. Yeah, if you don't have the money to pay for it now, go ahead and get a temporary account, and these are the instructions for it. Okay. And that should get you an account with Pearson if you haven't already done so, and some of you haven't. So yeah, you need to get that done, because that's where we're gonna be spending most of our time, not here in Moodle. Okay. And that's all you need to do in here, basically. Get an account with Pearson, sign the syllabus agreement, and post a comment in this forum. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and move on to Pearson really quick. I mean, to the lesson. So I'm just going to change cameras here to my document camera. All right, and let me go ahead and start the lesson here. Oh, and again, this lesson isn't hard. This lesson is not hard at all. I'm just doing it for those students who really don't know the math, okay? But this is very, very simple mathematics. It's just adding and subtracting. Adding and subtracting integers. And so what I'm gonna go I'm gonna explain different ways you can use, to make it simpler. But if you already know how to add or subtract, go ahead and skip this. If you know the rules for signs, don't worry about this lesson. You can skip it. And most of you, well, not most of you, but almost half of you have already finished this assignment too, second assignment. So you're not gonna need this lesson. So the rest of this video is gonna be about this lesson. You can close it now if you already completed the second assignment. Okay. All right. But for the rest of you, and I know that there are some of you there, and there's always like at least 1 or 2 students in my classes who really don't know the math, like literally don't remember the adding or subtracting integers, decimals. They don't remember the rules. Okay, so for these students, I'm gonna go ahead and start this lesson, which again, like I told you, it talks about integers, and In this case, we're adding. In section 2.3, we're subtracting and then multiplying, okay? But one thing you need to remember is that, well, you don't need to, but you need to be aware of is that we're working with integers in this few lessons, okay? And then because we're going to be working with fractions, decimals, percentages in future lessons, and so we'll still be adding and subtracting, but it's going to feel like you've already done that before, but it's not, because here you're adding and subtracting integers, not fractions or decimals or anything like that, okay? Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that to your attention. Anyway, I'm in section 2.2, and again, this is a hard copy of my book, of the book, textbook. But remember to go to Multimedia Library to find a copy of the ebook if you wanna practice in there before you come here or afterwards. That's not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. And we're gonna start with example 1, okay? Because like I told you before, this is gonna be a simple lesson. It's not gonna take long. So anyway, and I'm just going over the examples that are gonna be in the assignment, okay? So if I skip some or none, just remember that if we go over the examples I show you, those are gonna be in the assignments, okay? Or a combination of these examples. Anyway, let's go and look at example 1 and read through this, and don't overthink this. Like I told you, this is not anything anything that you're supposed to put too much thought into, because all this is introducing us integers. What are integers? How to add them, how to subtract them, that stuff, and it's just a different way of looking at integers, basically. And you can see it right here because of the wording. Watch. A loss of $100 followed by a loss of $80 results in a. Does it result in a loss or a gain? That's what they're asking. And you're never gonna see this kind of problem again in the whole chapter, the whole section, the whole class. Okay, only this part here. The way you answer those questions is you think about whether a loss or a gain is an addition or a subtraction, right? If it is a loss, well, doesn't that stand to reason that it is subtraction or a negative value? Yeah. And then you have another loss of $80. That's another loss. That's a non-negative value, right? Yeah. And then does that result in a loss or a gain? Well, if you add them up, I'm gonna go ahead and add them up. And this is a good trick. When you have two negative values, you add them up. That's 180. And then keep the sign. That's the way I like to call it. That's the way I like to say it. I keep the sign. Okay. If you have two negative values, add them up. Keep the sign. All right. And so I can see that that's a loss. So the answer here is results in a loss, right? In a loss. All right. So let's move to the next one. A gain of $100 followed by a loss of $80. Does it result in a gain or a loss? Well, let's look at an add them up. That's 100 minus 80. That's 20. Positive 20, right? So that is a gain, not a loss. Gain. All right. That's a gain of $20. Okay. And this is a loss of $180. These are two different questions which you're gonna find in the assignments, and these are this is a kind of two-part question, sort of like that, because you have to finish the first one, and then they're going to show you the second one. Okay, so make sure you remember that. And that's it for example 1. And let me move on to the next one. Example, example 2. Hold on, I have it right here. 2.2. And then example 2. Adding integers using a number line. Okay, so what do they mean by using a number line? And again, like I told you, if you already know how to add, you think you're pretty good at it. If you think you're pretty good at adding negative values, positive values, don't worry about this lesson, okay? But for those of you who haven't had the practice, let me show you what they mean by this. Okay, so they want you to use a number line to add. Why do they want you to do that? Well, because if you use a number line and you have positive 3, you start with a positive 3, but you always start at 0, right? And then you count to the right. All positive values, you always count to the right? 1, 2, 3. And then the negative values, so you need to add negative values. All you do is count to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're gonna land on negative 2. Okay. Okay. So why do we need a number line in order for us to add a negative value here? Well, you don't need to, but sometimes it is difficult to grasp that if you add a negative 5, you're gonna end up with a negative value. See, instead of 0. See, because if you're thinking, oh, if I have 3 apples and I take away negative 5 apples, well, I'm only going to end up with 0, right? See, that's the thinking. That's thinking from primary school, junior high. But no, you end up with a negative value. Okay. And that's all this is doing. No, that's the whole reason we use number line, basically, because they want you to see that some values, when you add them up, when you add positive and negative values, you sometimes are going to end up in the negative zone over here, or negative values. If you can see it in your head right away, okay. And so if they tell you to add using a number line, well, if you want to use a number line, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Just go ahead and add the values, okay? But just remember that this is what they were trying to teach you, okay? All right, let's move on to number 3. Adding integers using a number line, okay? Negative 3, and negative 3 plus a negative 4. Negative 3, 1, 2, 3, plus a negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. You're gonna end up in a negative 7 over here, okay? Okay. And negative 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus 2. You move to the right, 1, 2. You end up on negative 4, okay? And that should be the answer, negative 4. Okay. So that's the way you do it in number line, okay? So what if I want to do it in my head? Well, there are a few tricks. Well, yeah, a couple tricks to accomplish that. The way I do it, the way I teach it is that, for example, here, 3 plus a negative 5. This means that you are adding a negative value, right? A negative value to this 3. In other words, you have let me get a paper here. In other words, you have a negative 5, right? You have subtraction, right? So let me go ahead and write it here. 3 minus 5, right? That's what you have. Yeah. And it's number 2. All right. So notice that this positive and these two signs, positive and negative, turn into a negative basically, right? So let me go and teach you that right now, because you need to use this knowledge again and again for this class. So a positive and negative value give you a negative. Also, a negative and a positive value, positive sign, I'm gonna give you a negative value, a negative sign. Okay, positive and negative, a positive and negative, positive, positive, negative. You're essentially thinking about this as multiplication. Think about multiplying a negative 1 plus a negative 1, multiplication. And then that turns that sign into a negative sign, okay? That's basically the rule. If you can remember, back from high school, where multiplication of a positive times a positive gives you a positive value, and a multiplication of negative value times a negative value will get you a negative answer, negative value. And then a positive and negative, or the multiplication of a positive and negative value, and a negative value and a positive value. This is positive. I'm sorry about that. So this is the only two times when you multiply two negative signs, you two signs, either negative and negative, you're gonna get a positive answer, and a positive and a positive, you're gonna get a positive answer. Okay. And then it doesn't make a difference where the negative value is here. If it's to the left or to the right, you're still gonna get a negative answer in both instances. Okay. All right. So this is something you could write on your notes. Okay. Now, if you write a lot of notes, well, make sure you write this in a separate piece of paper, because this is important. You're gonna use this knowledge again and again. And I'm gonna label this multiplying. Okay. All right. When you multiply two positive signs, you get a positive answer. Two negative signs, you get a positive answer. When you multiply at least one negative sign in there, your answer is negative. Okay. All right. And this is part of a different lesson, but I'm introducing it here because we need to start getting used to it. All right, so that's a negative. Okay, so I was teaching you, I was trying to teach you how to do this in your head. Okay, let's go back to here. So if I have I told you that this means same thing as this, right? 3 minus 5, right? Well, some students, when they first start, they don't know how to do this in their head. They're like, negative 3 minus 5 is 0 or something like that. Well, no, not really, because 5 is larger than 3. And so the way you need to think about this problem here is that this is a positive and this is a negative value, right? So you have a subtraction there. You have subtraction, and then because you at least have one negative sign, that's why you have a subtraction. Okay. So the trick here, and you can use this trick if you want. If you already know how to do this, don't worry about this trick. But this is the way I teach it. So I know I have a subtraction because at least one of the signs is negative, right? So I always subtract the largest, the smallest value from the largest one. Okay. So the problem will look something like this now. Okay. See, because now I can see that 5 minus 3 is 2, right? See, that's easier. 5 minus 3 is 2. And then The only trick is that you have to go back here and see which value is larger. I know 5 is larger, so I keep that sign, okay? So I rewrite over here, the negative over here, and I get a -2 as the answer, okay? Which is this right here. So yeah, I got the same answer, and I didn't do it, well, I did do it in number line, using number line, and also I did it by hand, okay? And that's what I'm trying to work on it now, okay? So that's what I'm going to be doing here for example 3. Since we already used a number line for this too, I'm going to go ahead and do it in my head. So in this case, from now on, every time you see two signs together, change them. Change them with this knowledge here, okay? Okay, so this is, you need to memorize this, okay? Make sure you memorize that. And this is when you multiply two signs together, okay? So this is essentially what you're doing here. See, if you have two signs together, you're multiplying those two signs, that's all. And so that would turn into a -3, positive and a negative, give you a negative, right? I write a negative there, write the 4 there, and I can see now that I have two negative signs, okay? Not just one. Therefore, this is not a subtraction, not a subtraction. And in this case, both of them are negative. So whenever you get two negative signs or two positive signs, you add up the integers, okay? So in this case, I'm gonna add 4 plus 3, that's 7. And since I have two negative signs, the answer should be negative, okay? Because remember how if you are using the number line, you move 3 places to the left, and then 4 places to the left again. You're gonna end up way over here on the negative signs, okay? Negative values. And so this is correct. -7 should be the answer, not a +7. Okay. Let's see how I did it. I added the map and kept the sign. You can say it a different way, but I say I keep the sign. Okay. That's easier and that's faster. Okay. Even though mathematically it's not technically correct. But I still have another one to do here. All right, so that's that. And then let's move on to the next one. Now I have a -6 plus 2. Now I can see that I have one negative sign there, right? I know that this is a subtraction. What is the rule? Well, you always subtract the smallest value from the largest one, okay? Always subtract the smallest one from the largest one. And this is the way it's written, okay? Don't write 2 minus 6. No. Write 6 minus 2. See, now you can see that 6 minus 2 is 4, right? 6 minus 2 is 4. Go back and look at the sign of the largest value. Rewrite it over here in the answer, okay? And that should be the answer. All right. Let's go a little faster here because now we know what we're doing. Now we know the trick. And I needed to introduce that here because you're gonna use this knowledge again and again in this lesson, at least for the first test. All right, so we are adding without using a number line, okay? So that's exactly what I introduced here, basically, because we were doing this in our heads, okay? And so let's go in here. Again, the first step should be to turn those signs. If you see two signs together, turn them into a different sign. And that's -1. And then positive and negative give you a negative by multiplying them, right? So that's -3. I have two negative signs. I know I'm supposed to add 3 plus 1 is 4. Keep the sign because both of them are negative. That should be the answer, okay? All right, let's move on to number B. Number B, again, I can see two signs together. Well, rewrite those as negative That's 59. And then from here, and I can see that I have two negative signs, so I'm adding up. Okay, here, if you can't do this in your head, go ahead and write it down. But let me give you a hint. If you want to do it by hand, I mean, if you want to do it in your head, add up the decimals first. 50 plus 10 is 60, and then add the integers, and then the ones, and 9 plus 4 is 13, and then add them to 60. So 60 plus 13 is 73. 73. Really, this is the correct answer. And then go back, look at the signs. I have two negative signs, therefore the answer is negative. Okay. And that should be the answer. Okay. All right. And let's move on to number C. All right. And then here, both of them are positive. 31. Oh, I forgot to do this by hand. I'll go back to it. Hold on. 62. Oh yes, because I won't let you use a calculator. I won't let you use a calculator during the test. Okay. On any tests, you cannot use a calculator in on your tests. Whenever you whenever you take your test, you won't be able to use a calculator. Okay. So you need to do this in your head, okay, or writing it down, okay. So let's see here. So I have two positive signs. I'm adding 60 plus, like I told you, add decimals first. 60 plus 30 is 90, and then the ones. 2 plus 1 is 3. 90 plus 3 is 93. Okay. And I go back and look at the signs. Both of them are positive. The answer should be positive. Okay. Don't write a plus sign here. Okay. That would be wrong. So just leave it blank, because that's how I know that this has been simplified. Okay. If you write a positive 93, the computer is going to count it wrong, and I will count it wrong. Okay. So just leave it blank like this. That's a positive 93. Okay. All right, so let me go back, like I told you, over here to, what was it? This one? Well, let me work this one out. So I have two negative signs, and I'm adding, right? Because I have two negative signs. So the way you do it is you stack them up. The ones with the ones, the units, ones units. Stack them up with the ones. See, these are the ones units. These are tens units, and so so you need to stack them up one on top of the other. Okay, and then from here, just add them up. 9 times 9 plus 4 is 13. Well, 3 and carry the 1. That's that's what's going on. Okay, 3 carry the 1, and then 5 plus 1 plus 1, that's 7. 73. That's how you do it by hand. Okay, 73, and then go back to the original problem here and look at the signs. Both of them are negative. The answer should be negative. Okay, keep the sign. All right, let's move on. Oh no, I still have another one to do here by hand. Remember, we did it in our head by adding this decimals first, and then the ones and digits, and then add them up. If you want to do it by hand, this is the way you do it. Again, stack them up to where you have the ones in one column, the tens in one column, and so on. and then just add them up. 1 plus 2 is 3. 6 plus 3 is 9. And since the answer, both of these are positive, the answer is positive. All right. And let's move on. And I know I'm taking too long here, but I'm teaching you stuff that you need to know for future lessons. That's why. So whereas this should have been an easy lesson, I'm teaching into the future here. All right. So let's go ahead and work with example 5. Add with the user number line. Okay. With the user number line. Again, if you want to add by not by hand, but in your head, add the tens. We're going to have tens here. So I'm adding the ones, units, the units, ones units here, which is 7. 7 plus 10, 17. So I have I write 17, and then oh no, that's not an addition. That's my bad. That is not an addition. This is a negative value. That's a positive value. So we only have one negative value. So that's a subtraction. What's the rule? Well, you always subtract the smallest value from the largest one. Okay, always. And then here 30 minus 4 is 9. I know that's 9. And then I go back and look at the signs of the largest value, and I'm keeping that. Okay, that's the trick. Okay, if you want to do it this way, that's the trick. All right, let's move on. And then here I can see I have two signs together. Make sure you take care of that first, like I told you. That's a negative sign because I have a positive and a negative there. And that's 6. And then now I have a subtraction because I have one negative sign there, 14. And it's already set up the way we need it because I'm subtracting the smallest one from the largest one. So 14 minus 6 is 8. And go back and look at the largest sign of the largest value. It's positive. The answer is positive. So that should be the answer. All right. Let's move on. And remember that here in this section 2.2, we are adding. Okay, we're adding positive values and we're adding negative values. Okay. See here. We're adding positive values, a positive value, and here we're adding a negative value. Okay. Now, why do we show the sign of the negative sign here and not a positive sign of the positive 4 here? Because we don't need to. We don't need it. It would be a waste of time. Anyway, since we are learning how to add, we needed to include these two signs, two positive signs in this section. Okay, that's why you see them here. Because by now you're probably thinking, why can't we just write a negative sign here instead of two signs here? Yeah, no, that's a good question. But that's the reason why we're doing it, because we're learning to add. See, we're learning to add positive and negative signs. That's why we include in there. We're not going to use it as much as we move on, okay? So it's only for most of the beginning lessons, and then it's going to go away. Yeah, but I still need you to be aware of that, you know, and catch what you need to know, what you need to do as soon as you see it, okay? Because see here, 38. Plus a negative 86 is change sign, right? That's the rule. Just change the signs first. Positive and negative give you a negative. It's 86. now I have subtraction. Well, go ahead and subtract the smallest one from the smallest value from the largest value always. 30. Okay. I didn't even think of that. All right. And I have subtraction here. And why do I need to do this? Well, even when you're doing it by hands, notice that you're subtracting a small value from a larger value. So because now this is set up to where we can subtract and not get negative values over here, not mess anything up. Because if we left it like this and we try to subtract, oops, I wasn't even showing it, was it? Okay, so if you show it like this, if you set it up like this, 38 minus 86, and you go like 8 minus 6, oh, that's 2. But what about 3 minus 8? That's 3 minus 8, negative 5. Well, in this case, it's not that difficult because we don't have that many digits here. But anyway, this method is not recommended to do. Yeah, this method is better because you have hold on, there you go. You have a larger value on top and a smaller one at the bottom there, and so you're subtracting a small value from a larger value. Okay, and that's why it's easier and faster to do it this way. Because watch, 6 minus 8. Well, you can't do this because or else you're gonna get negative values here. And then so you need to borrow from the decimal place, right? So this becomes 7. You borrow 1 from here, which is 10 when you move it to this place value. Okay, so that this becomes 16 instead of 6. Okay, it was worth 1 unit over here, but here when you move it to the right, the unit to the right is worth 10. Okay, 10 of those. All right, now you have a 16 minus 8. That's 8. 7 minus 3 is 4. All right, now you have 48. Okay, if we did this correctly, that's 80. 48. Did mess it up? Nothing with that. And then look at your signs over here. The largest sign of the largest value, and include that in there. And it was 8. No, let me see. No, that was good. Good. 6, 8. Nice. Okay, so let me go back over here. So we were subtracting 8 minus 6 here to 3 minus 8. We got a negative 5, didn't we? We got a negative 5, and the answer was negative 52. So you see how that doesn't work? If you subtract a large value from a small value, and so this is not the way you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to subtract a small value from a large value. Okay. So if you start with something like this, make sure you flip them. Yeah, just swap them. We're gonna swap them, and as long as you remember to change the signs to include the sign of the largest value in the answer. All right, let's move on. Okay, so I just taught you another concept there, subtraction. Okay, and because we are gonna see that again and that's a whole lesson. Yeah, that's a whole lesson in itself, subtracting integers and all that stuff. But I'm introducing here. Anyway, negative 57 plus 92. Okay, so I know I have a subtraction here, right? However, I cannot do this, or else I'm gonna get slightly different values, okay, but still the wrong answer, okay. So I need to subtract the smallest value from the largest value, okay, and that's the rule, okay. We're gonna keep doing this every time. All right, so here I have 2 minus 7. No, I'm not gonna get negative value over here. No, that's not gonna work. So I'm gonna borrow from the tens unit here. That becomes 8. It becomes 10 over here. So that's 10 plus 2 is 12. 12 minus 7 is 5, and then 8 minus 5 is 3. It's 35, and I go back to my original problem here, which I just look at the largest value. So I know the largest value there, and I know it's positive, so the answer should be positive. Okay, so 35 is the answer. Positive 35 is the answer. All right. Hopefully you are learning how to subtract now, and that way you're not overwhelmed in future lessons. Okay. And yeah, I could have skipped all of that and just do it in my head, right? But it's gonna be part of future lessons. So don't think we're wasting time. And yeah, I know it's gonna be a long. Well, it's still gonna turn out to be a long lesson, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Anyway. Okay, so again, let's start with changing signs, right? If you see two signs together, go ahead and change them. Use the rules that I taught you before, and which are this right here. That's why you need to memorize those, or write them in a separate piece of paper. Okay, so that's 35 minus 57, and I know I have a subtraction there. Again, subtract the smallest one from the largest one, and it's going to look like that. 7 minus 5 is 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. Let me see. Yeah, it is 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3, yeah. And then go back and look at the largest sign of the largest value, include it in the answer, and that should be the answer. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to this bottom one here. And I'm not going to work out the other ones because you already know the procedure. Okay. Well, let me try to do this in my head. Like this will be a good practice to do it. If you want to do it in your head, go ahead and do it in your head. Okay, so remember I told you to start with the decimals before. Well, in this case we have hundreds, so add the hundreds first. 8 plus 3 is 11. That's 11. Well, that's 8. That's 1,011. So 1,011. 800. That's 800 plus 300. I should have said 800 plus 300. That's 1,100. And then add the decimals. So that's 40 plus 10 is 50. That's 1,150. That's 150. And then at the units, that's 11. That's 150. 1,160. 1,161. Okay, I think I did it correctly. Anyway, that's one way of doing it. Okay, and then and then if you want to do it by hand, let's go ahead and write it down. Again, yeah, since this is a subtraction, remember to subtract the smallest one smallest value from the largest value. All right. And then always keep your units, your ones units together, and your tens units together, your hundreds units together, and so on, because that's the rule. And then add up. Subtract them. 4 minus 7. Well, you're gonna get a negative sign there, so you can't do that. So you need to borrow from here, from the tens column. That's becomes 0 here, and if you add this to the ones unit, that becomes 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. So 14 minus 7 is 7. And then here 0 minus 4, you're gonna get a negative sign. So no, you need to borrow from this column here. That becomes 7. If you borrow to this column, that's gonna make that 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. And then 7 minus 3 is positive 4, so that's good. And then just go back to the original problem there. Look at the largest value. Look at the sign. That's positive. The answer should be positive. So 400. No, whoa. Oh, that's 467. Okay, so I was adding before, but it wasn't an addition. It was a subtraction. That's my bad. Okay, so I'll tell you what. Let me go ahead and subtract in my head. But I believe you can still use the same procedure, because I can subtract 800 minus 300. That's 500. I can subtract 10 minus 4. 10 minus 40. Well, no, not 10 minus 40. Well, let me see. 47 minus. Well, I thought you could do it. I'm drawing a blank here. What would be the best way to do it? Well, oh yeah, okay. So 800 minus 3 minus 300. That's 500. That's 500, and then 500. That's a bit more difficult to do it in your head. Yeah. I mean, even though I could still do it, but there's not an easy trick to do it in your head as you have with addition. Okay. So yeah, you can still do it like I show you here. Okay. You can still write it down, doing by writing it down. Okay. Yeah, because once you get to larger values like this, it's a bit more difficult to do in your head. Okay. Especially subtractions. Okay. Additions, yes, easier, but subtractions is gonna get a bit harder. And yeah, I do include some problems with larger values, because I need you to practice subtraction. Okay. So yeah, no, I would just try to make it easier on you by doing it in your head, just to make it faster. But sometimes, yeah, you're gonna have to do it the hard way. So you're gonna have to write it down. Okay. So this kind of problem, go ahead and write them down and answer them by do them by hand. Okay. All right. And here I have 119. Change your signs to a negative 119. That becomes 0. All right. Let's move on. And adding more than one integer. Okay, so here's another rule. Okay, I don't know if you remember back from high school, where you learned the order of operation. Well, let me use a new piece of paper here. Order. And you need to write this down or memorize it, review it, because this is basically used every time you use math. Okay. operation. Order operation. Remember PEMDAS? And if you can memorize this, or at least write it down, and just have it available. If you can't remember it, use it every time you see a problem like this, long problem. P stands for parentheses, and you can write the whole word here if you want, parentheses. I'm just using examples here. E is for exponents, so something like, I don't know, x to the second power exponents. M for multiplication, right? D for division, and A for addition, S for subtraction. Okay, so this is the order of operation. Okay, so most students do remember this. Yes, that's fine. But what most students don't remember is that, and the screen froze, hold on. All right, there it is. What most students don't remember is that these two operations, they need to be done if whichever comes first. Okay, whichever comes first. If multiplication comes first on the list here, then do multiplication. If division comes first, then do division. Okay, and then addition and subtraction. If addition and subtraction, if subtraction comes first, then go ahead and do subtraction first. If addition comes first, go ahead and do addition first. Okay, and so this these two can be moved, right? Basically, these two can be moved. However, you cannot swap any of this from here to here, and you cannot swap any of this from here to there. Okay, so that's something you don't do. Okay, just keep them separate. Okay, keep those two separate. Okay. All right. Hopefully, I made myself clear, because that's where students make most mistakes right here. Not remembering that they're supposed to do the multiplication, division first, then addition, subtraction, and they remember that if division comes first, they perform division first. If multiplication comes first, do that first. Addition comes first, do that first. Subtraction comes first, go ahead and do subtraction. Okay. All right. Make sure you write that down on a separate piece of paper, not on your notes. Okay. And that way you can have them. You can find them whenever you need them. All right. So that's a good introduction, and I know we're gonna have a whole lesson on this. Okay. And we're gonna practice it a lot. But like I told you, since we are gonna learn it, why not introduce it here in this lesson? Anyway, so I'm adding more than one value, okay, more than one integer. So in this case, again, see, if we go back over here, what does the order operation tell us to do? Well, if we have addition and subtraction together, whichever comes first. Oh, and I forgot to say that you're supposed to read this from left to right. Okay, you're supposed to read the program from left to right, or left to right. Whichever comes first from left to right. Whichever comes first from left to right. All right, whichever comes first from left to right. So in this case, you start over here to the left, see, and move your way to the right. That's very important too. That is part of the rule, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so here I have a negative and a positive. So I now have a subtraction. 19 minus 12 is 7. And then 19 is largest value and it's negative, so I'm going to have a negative 7. And I'm going to go ahead and change these signs to a negative 45. And I'm just rewriting the other value there, the other integer there, just so you can see where I am now. I'm right here, okay? And then from here, I go back to the left, because remember, you're supposed to read from left to right. All right. So if I perform an operation, I'm supposed to go back to the left again and read from left to right again, okay? Make sure you remember that. Here I have two negative values, a negative 47, negative 45, and a negative 7. That's an addition. It's an addition because in the end, I can add the sign, okay? So 45 plus 7 is 52. And keep the sign, because both of them are negative. Rewrite 48, positive 48, and now you're here. Okay, read from left to right. Okay, so I have a negative value there and a positive here. So that's a subtraction. Subtract 52 minus 48. 52 minus 48. Okay, because 48 is the smaller value. So that's 4. And then go back and look at the sign of the largest sign. That's negative. So the answer is negative 4. Okay. Okay, so the answer is negative 4, and I'm done. All right. Let's move on. And that's it for lesson for section 2.2. Let's move on to section 2.3 real quick. And yeah, I know it's gonna be a long lesson, but we are learning material that's going to be used in future lessons. That's why, okay? I'm not going to limit too much on this lesson here. I'm in this section. I'm on section 2.3, by the way. And the reason I'm not going to limit too much on this is because we're essentially doing the same thing, except for now we're subtracting, okay? So remember that in section 2.2, we were adding positive and negative values. In this case, we're subtracting negative values. So that's the only difference, okay? All right, but again, the procedure is still the same. Go ahead and change the signs if they're together, right? If they're together, just change them, and that takes care of that, right? Here I have a subtraction. Subtract the smallest one from the largest one. 6 minus 5 is 1. Go back and look at the sign of the largest value. That's negative. The answer is negative 1. All right. That's the trick. I have a negative 9 there, but I had two signs together. I'm going to go ahead and work on that right away, because that's going to make my life easier there. And that's negative 3. I know I have two negative signs, so I'm supposed to add. So I'm adding together 9 plus 3. That's 12. Keep the sign because both of them are negative. Okay. The answer is negative 12. All right. Well, let's go ahead and do this one really quick. 7 minus 10. That's the same thing as 10 minus 7. That's 3. Go back and look at the sign of the largest value. It's negative. The answer is negative 3. Okay. Are you getting that? Are you getting the tricks for adding and subtracting values, integers? Make sure you practice those, because you're gonna need that knowledge. All right, let's go over here. And again, it's the same thing here, except for with larger values. And I'm just gonna practice here the addition. I'm gonna practice addition here really quick. 147. Yeah, this is a good time to practice addition here. Because I just changed the sign there. Negative and a negative give you a positive. Remember that? All right. And then just add them up. In this case, you can stack them up whichever way you want, as long as you keep units together, okay? That's 147, because we're adding. Since we are adding, all that matters is that you keep ones together, tens and hundreds together, okay? So 7 plus 9 is 16. 6 and carry the 1. That's what I meant to say. Take and carry the 1, and then 4 plus 1 plus 1 is 6. I mean, 4. Yeah, 6. and then 2 plus 1 is 3. So the answer is 366. And let me see if I have subtraction here. Yeah, because I just need to practice one more subtraction. Okay, just so it is clear. Let me move this around here, and this becomes a negative 3, 1 through 4. Change the signs. Since they're together, we're going to change them right away. That's positive 29. I only have one sign. That's a subtraction. Well, treat it as a subtraction, and subtract the smallest value from the largest one. And then here I'll have a negative. Yeah, so negative sign there. And then 4 minus 7 is going to give you a negative value, so you need to borrow from here, from the other column. This becomes 2. That becomes 14. 14 minus 9 is 5. 2 minus 2 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. 105. 104. You still need to go back and look at the sign of the largest value. And it is negative, so you keep the sign. And that should be the answer. Okay. So hopefully you're getting you're getting the gist of what I'm trying to teach you here. The adding and subtracting. Hopefully it's all coming together. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Next example here. And again, this is another order of operation thing. Okay, so you just move from left to right, from left to right, from left to right. Okay, and here I'm gonna add 7 plus 5. Well, 7 plus 5 is 12, so I'm just gonna rewrite 12 minus 11 plus 6. Yeah, I'm changing those two signs to a positive, minus 19. So now I'm right here, and then from here I subtract 12 minus 11. That's 1, positive, because 12 is the largest value and it's positive. Plus, and I'm just rewriting this over here. 19. And then go back to the left again and add 1 plus 6, that's 7, minus 19. So minus 19, that's a subtraction, so subtract the smallest one, the value from the largest one. 19 minus 7, that's 2. 9 minus 7 is 2. 1 minus 0 is 1. So that's 12. And then go back and look at the largest sign of the largest value. That's negative. So the answer is negative. Negative 12. Negative 12 is the answer. Okay, so that is one way of doing that. The way the book teaches it is that you can combine negative signs and positive signs. Now that's up to you if you want to practice that. If you can remember that would be nice. Yes, but if you don't want to practice that, that's not a problem. So I'm just gonna go ahead and rewrite this without that many signs. That's plus 5. And that way I can show you exactly what they mean. Plus 6 minus 19. Okay, so what they want you to do is, and yeah, this is shortcut, because here I have 3 positive values, so that's 7 plus 5 plus 6, and then 2 negative values, negative 11 and minus 9, and that's now if you add this together, let's see, we're getting 18. Yeah, 18, and then if you add this together, it's 20, it's 30. Keep the sign, it's negative 30. So now I'm here. Now I'm here. Oh, now I'm here, and 18 minus 30. Go ahead and treat that as subtraction. 30 minus 18. Always subtract the smallest one from the largest one. All right. And then here, I need to borrow, or else I'm not gonna get a negative value over here. So that becomes 2. That becomes 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 2. 1. So the answer is 12. Now go back and look at the sign of the largest value. That's negative. So including there, the answer is negative 12, which is what we got over here as the answer. So you see how we did it? We did it different ways. We went by working them one at a time from left to right. And then the other trick was to combine all your positive values together and your negative values together, and then just combine the rest. And if you can remember this trick here, that would be nice. But most students don't. They forget about it because we don't practice it as much. And that's something I noticed. I mean, who knows? You might not be one of the students. Anyway, I'm done with section 2.3, so I'm moving on to section 2.4, which is the section of multiplication and division of integers. Okay. There's nothing to this. There's nothing to this section really. Again, if you already know how to multiply signs, how to multiply integers, don't worry about this lesson. Okay. So I'm just moving on to example 1. Okay. Here, I should have done this. Okay. And then, all right. Again, make sure you practice the signs. You know, when you multiply signs, what do they turn into? Make sure you practice that because we're going to need it here. So whenever you multiply or divide, use that rule. The rule for multiplying signs, okay? So in this case, we are multiplying signs. But, because we're multiplying integers. Some of them are going to be positive, some of them negative. So yeah. 6 times, positive 6 times negative 3 is 18. However, you have a negative. You're multiplying a negative and a positive value, so the answer is negative 18, okay? Here, you're multiplying a negative times a positive. The answer is negative, and then multiply 7 times 4. It's negative 28. So negative 28 is the answer, okay? And that's it. And if you want an explanation as to why that happens, it's right there in page 146, okay? But if not, just remember the rules. If you multiply 2 negative values, you get a positive answer. If you multiply 2 positive values, you get a positive answer. If any of those 2 values has a negative value, then the answer is negative. Okay, so here we have 2 negative values. The answer should be positive. Okay, 9 times 10 is 90. Positive 90 is the answer. Negative negative gives me a positive when I multiply, and then 5 times 8 is 40. Positive 40. Positive 40 is the answer. All right. There's nothing to really see because I already taught you the rule for multiplying signs. That's why it's going so fast here. But I still have to teach you how to multiply by hand. Okay. Well, I don't have to, but I'm gonna go ahead and start doing it here. So I'm multiplying 2 negative signs, 2 negative values. I know that the answer is going to be positive, so I know that much. And then for multiplication, Go ahead. For multiplication, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference where you write your digits. If you can do this if you want. Oh, and my screen froze. I see. And there it is. And that's multiplication, because placement doesn't matter. Yeah, placement doesn't matter with multiplication. Okay, it did matter with addition and subtraction, but not here. All right, and then just multiply 4 times every integer that's up here. 4 times 7, and then just write it. Write down values here, and then remainders here. So 4 times let me see. Yeah, 4 times 7 is 28. 8. Okay, that 2, and then 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. And then 1 times 7 is 7. Oh, and here, because you are working with the tens value, you need to skip this place here and start over here. Okay. If you want to write a 0 here, you're more than welcome to it. Some students do, some students don't. I just skip it. Okay. Anyway, 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 1 is 1. And I'm done with that. All I have to do now is add all of this. 8 plus 0 is 8. 6 plus 7 is 13. Oops. And my screen froze again. 13. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 238. And we said that we were multiplying two negative values, so the answer should be positive. So that should be the answer. Okay. And that's how you multiply. Okay. Well, those are some of the rules for multiplying integers anyway. And then let's go on to, well, I was trying to multiply items so we could practice multiplication, but well, let me go ahead and work this one out. Negative 8 times 27. And always remember to go back and look at your signs, okay? Because a lot of students forget about it and get the wrong answer. So always remember to look whenever you get your answer. Go back to your signs and see if you need to make any changes. All right. So I have multiplication. It doesn't make a difference if you put your 8 here or here. It doesn't matter because 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 5 is 21. And then see, now go back and look at your signs. In this case, you multiply a negative times a positive, you get a negative answer. All right. Don't forget about your signs. That should be the last step. Always check your signs at the very end. Okay, that is the last step. Always. All right. Here you multiply times 0. Anything multiplied times 0 is just 0. So don't worry about that. I'm not gonna practice that because, well, let me go ahead and practice one more time because I need to show you that this 7 doesn't need to be underneath the ones column. Okay, I can write it here. Okay. I mean, it's good practice if you do, but I can write it there. It doesn't make a difference. Watch. 7 times 3 is 21. 1. Write the 1 and carry the 2. 7 times 0 is 0 plus 2 is 2. 7 times 1 is 7. 721. All right. 721. The last step, what did I say the last step should be? To go back and look at your signs, see if you need to make any changes. Well, I'm multiplying a positive and negative value. Should get a negative answer. All right. So the answer is negative 721. All right. And let's move on. That's the end of that. Let me see. Okay, multiply more than once, more than two integers. Okay, so remember that when we added or subtracted more than two integers, we were supposed to add or subtract from left to right. Well, in this case, you don't. In this case, you don't. When you multiply, you don't, because that's just one of the properties of multiplication. See, this means the same thing as, could mean the same thing as this times this times this times this. Oh, one. That's one. Okay. So this means the same thing as this. See, so it doesn't make a difference how you arrange these factors. You're still gonna get the same answer. Okay. So now, if you had other operations here, like division, addition, subtraction, well then yes, you need to mind your order of operation, PEMDAS, okay? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, okay? But in this case, all you have is multiplication here. All of these are factors. So you can rearrange them however you want. It's not gonna hurt it. It's not gonna hurt the answer. It's not gonna change it. Okay. So that's the only difference. Okay. And here you can do the work on your own. It's not. Well, I'll tell you what. It is tricky. Well, it could get tricky. So that's why I'm gonna go ahead and do it myself here, because notice that if you multiply negative times a negative, and then the question is, how do you go about doing this? Well, I think the best approach to it is to multiply it. Still multiply from left to right. That way you don't make mistakes and get used to it. Negative 3 times a negative 1 is positive 3. Positive 3, rewrite the rest of your factors. And then a positive 3 times positive 2 is a positive 6. Rewrite the other factor. A positive 6 and a negative times a negative 2 is negative 12. The answer should be negative. Okay. So that's one way of doing that. And then same thing with this one. Multiply negative times a negative. That's positive 2. Positive 2 times negative 2. That's a negative 4. Negative 4 times a positive 12. A positive 3 is 12. Negative 12. And then negative 12 times a negative 4 is 48. Positive 48. A positive 48. And I just did that in my head. Okay. If you want to double check it, think about your signs. Is it positive or negative? Well, I know that multiplication is correct, I think. Well, yeah, 48. 48 is correct. However, the sign, I don't know if it's correct. Okay, because I might have messed it up over here. What you can do is go back and multiply the signs only. A negative times a negative gives you positive. A positive times a negative gives you a negative. A negative times a positive gives you a negative. A negative times a negative gives you a positive sign. So the answer should be 48. Positive 48. All right. That's one way of checking it. Okay, let's go over here and check the signs. Just the sign. Negative times a negative gives you a positive. A positive times a positive gives you a positive. Positive times a negative gives you a negative. So then the answer should be a negative answer. And that's correct. That's one way of checking that. Okay. All right, let's move on. And we're almost done. We're almost done here. So it didn't take. Yeah, the lesson didn't take about an hour. That's good. That's good. And here's example 5. And that's this is just exponents. So this part is we are starting with exponents, and I'm trying to, yeah, there you go. I think that looks better. Hold on. Yeah, that's good. All right. So let's kind of start with the first one. Okay, so what do exponents do? If you don't already know, exponents, all they do is multiply basically the base. In this case, this is the base. -5 is the base. So what I like to do, the way I like to think about it is that this exponent tells you how many times you need to write down the base. So in this case, it tells me to write down -5 twice, right? 5 twice, and then just multiply, because exponents, the only operation you do when you see an exponent, it's multiplication. Okay, so you multiply those two together, and then since I know that the negative gives me a positive, the answer is positive 25. Okay, same thing here. That 4 tells you how many times you write your base. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and that's 4. Okay. Negative times negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Positive 4 times a negative 2. Oh. Positive 4 times a negative 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 2 is positive 16. So the answer is positive 16. Okay. And I'm gonna and in the assignments I try to get exponents as low as I can, because if you're doing this by hand, then it doesn't make sense to give you a exponent like 24 or 25, something like that, or you have to do operations with large values. Yeah, that wouldn't be fair to you. It would be a waste of time. Anyway, I did check. Well, I tried to exclude all those large exponents in the assignments. Anyway, that's the gist of that. Let me take you back here, because the difference here between these two is huge, because here the 2 is only affecting the negative 5 because of that parenthesis. Here the power 2 is only affecting that 5 because it doesn't have a parenthesis there. See, so it's only affecting the 5 there. So what does that mean? It means, well, again, you need to write 5 twice and then multiply it, right? The answer is 25, right? However, you didn't do anything. You didn't touch the sign there. So just rewrite the sign. The sign is way over here. So just rewrite it with the answer. So the answer is a negative 25. Okay. Okay, let's practice here again. That 4 tells you to write that 4 times, and of course multiply, because that's what an exponent does. Just leave the sign somewhere over here. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. And always, again, remember to look at this. Look at the signs and see if you need to make any changes. In this case, you did. So, negative 16 is the answer. Okay, and that's because you didn't. That 4 didn't affect that negative value. All right, and that's. I believe that's well. Notice how. Let me take you down here for these examples, because I'm trying to make a point here. So whenever you have a, let me take a look at. Let's take a look at this two here. Notice how these two exponents, the base for those two exponents, have parentheses, right? So they include the negative sign, right? They include the negative sign. Okay. So they're similar to each other. The only difference is that, well, almost the only difference is that the exponent is even here and odd here, okay? Even here, odd here. And then that makes, if you have an even exponent, that makes that sign go away, the negative sign go away. Here, since you have a negative exponent, the sign is still going to be in the answer. It's still going to be included in the answer. And that's because you have an odd exponent, okay? So it didn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference if you have like a 21 or 25. If it's odd and the sign is included inside the parentheses, you're still going to have to include it at the end, okay? Let's see here. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. I already explained this difference in these two, so no need to explain it again. And that's it. That's it for that lesson, I think. Well, let me check real quick. No, I still have. We still have to divide. Well, division is not. It's not that difficult, I don't think. And unless I introduce how to divide right here, which is again a topic for other lesson. But I can do that here. I don't have a problem with that. So let's go ahead and start with this one here. Oh, and again, like I told you, dividing and multiplying integers, the rules for multiplying signs still apply here, okay, for division, okay? So these rules, remember, for multiplying these signs, give you this. Well, these rules still apply to division, okay? So that's the rule. Those rules still apply for division. They apply for multiplication and for division. All right, and this is a little tricky because if you forget at the end, if you forget to check your signs, you might mess up your signs at the end, okay? But I'm just going to introduce how to divide here by working this one out really quick, doing by hand. Well, I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and start here. Negative 35 as 35 divided by, oh, and make sure you do this. You write this value, make sure you write this value at the top. Make sure you write it inside. And then this value goes out here and not the other way around. If you write this 35, that would be wrong, because you'll be dividing 7 divided by 35 and not 35 divided by 7, okay? So make sure you don't mix this. Yeah, make sure you don't swap these two, okay? All right, so 35, and practice that. 35 divided by 7 is 7. Well, the way I like to start is by asking myself, does 7 go into 3, into the first digit? If it doesn't, don't write anything up here, okay? Don't write anything up here. And I know you're gonna forget about it and start writing stuff here, you know, but you need to practice and you need to obey that rule, or else it's gonna throw your decimals off once we get into decimals, okay? So make sure you start learning this rule right here. 7 just doesn't go into 3, so don't write anything up there. Well, I don't know the value there. That makes that a 35. Does 7 go into 35? Yeah, it does. How many times? 5. So start writing the 5 here. Okay. And that's it. That's it because the remainder is 0. Because okay, so if we had any more numbers here, the more values, what I would do is multiply 5 times 3 is 35, and this is the way they taught to you in high school, I believe, most of you anyway. And then subtract. 35 minus 35 is 0. You got a remainder of 0. You're done. Okay, you stop. All right, that's the rule for dividing integers. Okay, we're still gonna have to learn how to divide decimals, but this is the rule for dividing. These are the rules for dividing integers. Okay, let me do one more here. I told you to that the last step should be to look at your signs again, and I forgot about that. Since we're dividing a negative by a positive, the answer is negative. All right, that should be the answer, not positive 5. Okay. All right, so let's move on to this one here. 1624 divided by 8. Okay, let's worry about the signs at the end there. Okay. All right, so here, again, I ask myself, does 8 go into 1? How many times does it go into 1? None. So you don't write anything up there. Or you could write a 0, but no, I don't recommend it. Anyway, how many? Yeah, so you add one more digit to it, so that makes that a 16. And then ask yourself, how many times does 8 go into 16? That's twice. You start writing up here, not here. Okay, start writing here. That's 2. That's 2 times 8. That's 16. Write 16 underneath. Subtract. That makes that 0. 16 minus 16 is 0. Bring down the 2. And then ask yourself, how many times does 8 go into 2? Well, 9. Well, in this case, you don't have to write a 0 here because you need placeholder. You need a placeholder, okay? Here, you don't need that because that's not a placeholder. Okay, so that's why you don't write a 0 here. But that's what I don't recommend you do. Write a 0 here. Anyway, bring down the 8 times. Yeah, if you want to bring down as 4, the 4 over here, that makes this a 24. So ask yourself, how many times does 8 go into 24? And that should be 3. Yeah, because 8 and 3, 24. Let's see what else. 3. No, I'm not done yet. I thought I was done, but no. I still need to multiply 3 times 8. 24. And then subtract 24. That's 0. And you got a remainder of 0. So you're done, you stop. Okay. So that's very convenient that we got a remainder of 0 and we stop. And the last time, the last thing to do is to look at your signs. That's a negative and a positive and a negative, and you're dividing. That makes the answer a negative value. Okay. So the answer is negative 203. Okay. Answer is negative 203, and that's the way you do it by hand. Okay. And I would recommend you start practicing here because you need to get really good at this right away. Okay. And that's the end of the lesson. All I wanted to point out now is that if you can practice your multiplication tables now, that would be awesome. So go to and this is the one website I like because it does exactly what we need. The name of the website is multiplication.com. Just click type it in, and this is what's gonna This what you want to see. And then from here, just go to games, because we don't want to do anything else. We just want to go to this right here, and from here just choose quick flash, this right here, quick flash 2, and click on it. And this applies to us because this is the way you see multiplication in this class. Is you don't see horses, you don't see cats in this class. We're not adding snails. I don't know. This is the way it's gonna look like. It's just multiplication. It's numbers. Okay. Well, this is the way it's gonna look like, and let me show you. So let's say you start at level 1. Well, let's say I start at level 6. I'm already at level 6. So this is what it's gonna look like. Okay. And this is what I've told you by. This is what it's gonna look like in this class. See, just values. Just integers. And then from here, don't use this pad, even though you could use your number pad in your on your calculator. I mean, not calculator. Your laptop. Okay. So in this case, 6. The operation 6 times 7. Yeah, it's multiplication 6 times 7. And if you know what 6 times 7 is, go ahead and multiply it in your calculator. But at least try to remember it. Okay. And then type it in using your number pad. Oops. Okay. And it doesn't make a difference if you run out of time. Okay. See, like I run out of time, that's not a problem. 6 times 9 is and yeah, just get used to your number pad, because see, I'm trying to look at my number pad here, and I'm not good at it. So just get used to it, and you get faster at it. Okay. So let's say 54. All right. And it's giving me yellow lines because yellow cards because I'm running out of time. But of course, you're gonna do it before the time's up, and it's gonna give you green cards. Then 6 times 8. And again, if you know what 6 times 8 is, use your calculator and type it in. Use your calculator, type it in, and that's what it looks like. Whenever you do it in before your time's up. And what if you get it wrong? Well, this is what it's going to look like. Oh, you didn't get it. Okay. This is what it's going to look like if you get it wrong. It's going to give you a red card. Okay. But anyway, go ahead and practice multiplication with this websites and this game. Okay. Don't use anything else if you can. Use this, because this is more a lot. It looks a lot more like we're what we're gonna be using here in Pearson. Okay, and go ahead and do that, and that should get you all caught up. Okay, finish your assignments, and you should be okay. And I will see you on the next lesson. Okay, I'm gonna stop this one right now.